Hi friends. I wanted to show you some pictures of some different things you might spot in the ocean. There are all kinds of things you might see. So let's see what there is. Well, first, wow, look how deep the ocean is. It can get so deep. We have boats way up high, and then we have all these animals that go way down low. And you know what? Some of our deepest parts of the ocean are about as far down or further than our tallest buildings. Oh, wow. We've got all kinds of fish. Do you see the little shapes on the fish? Those are called scales. If you feel them, they kind of have a neat texture. They're not quite smooth. They kind of feel bumpy. A little smooth, but kind of have like wavy bumps. They can also have really prickly fins. If you try to touch their fins, it can be sharp. Sometimes they have teeth in their mouth that could hurt you. So you gotta be careful around fishies' mouths. Oh, we've got whales. Look at that guy. Some whales are black and white. Some are big, like this big humpback whale. Look at him, he's big and gray. Whales tend to be much deeper in the ocean. We also have some sea creatures that hide. Can you spot the sea creature that's hiding in this picture? It's kind of hard to tell. He's inside of all of this seaweed. It's right there. You can see his mouth and his eye. But he's hiding. See his fin right there? This guy likes to hide at the bottom of the ocean floor. See how he's the same color? And this guy's hidden. Sometimes they hide. It's called being camouflage because they are trying to protect themselves from other creatures that might try to eat them. So they blend in with their background so that they won't be spotted. Then we have our coral reef. You guys see the coral reef? Coral reef is kind of like a forest, but under the ocean. See all of those things? It's coral right there. They're kind of hard to the touch. They're not quite like leaves. Seaweed is more like leaves. You'll find that in the ocean too. Sort of like our plant life in the ocean. Some fish like to travel in schools. A school is like a big group of fish that travels together. They do that to try to help protect themselves from other creatures or animals that might try to eat them. Some animals sting. So you've got this guy right here. You've got eels. They look like snakes in the water. Some try to protect themselves in the coral. They hide in the coral. Even if they're not camouflaged, they hide in there because it protects them from other creatures that might try to eat them. Some creatures like to eat things off of other sea creatures, like this guy right here. He likes to eat all of the dirt and bacteria off of this creature's mouth and his teeth. That's how he gets his food and nutrition, is by eating things off of other sea creatures. Some creatures are teeny tiny, but still can sting us, and some are very large and can sting us. There are teeny tiny jellyfish that can make us very sick or die. There are also big octopus, a big octopus that could hurt us, but not all of them are going to hurt us. Many are not dangerous at all. We have sea snakes right now, right there. Some are dangerous, some are not. This guy right here, he is a sea slug. He is not harmed by jellyfish. Jellyfish stings don't bother him, and he actually eats jellyfish. Then we have sharks. Sharks don't typically like to eat people because people aren't really their main source of food. But you still have to be careful around them because they might be really hungry and may not have been around any food anytime recently, and they could have been starved. Also, you don't want to get a shark angry because then he might try to bite you. But most sharks will leave you alone if you leave them alone. There's big sharks that look like whales. There's the hammerhead shark who looks like a hammer. I call him the hammerhead shark because the front of his head looks like a hammer. You got your great white. Look at all those teeth. And see the shape of his fin up there? Then we have our manta rays. They look like they're flying, but underwater. They're almost like underwater bats. They have stingers on the end that you got to watch out for because that could hurt you. But here, they kind of like go like this under the water. They're pretty cool. And we have whales. Some whales are much bigger than others. They're usually pretty big, but look how giant that one was. Ancient dinosaur whales were even bigger than the whales you see now. We also have dolphins, which like to play games with people. They like to do flips and tricks and have fun in the water. There are also some that glow in the dark and live way, way, way down super deep in the water. We have turtles who like to go on land and they lay their eggs and put them in the dirt and come back and get them when it's time for them to hatch. We have water animals that live in cold weather, like our penguins and our walruses. We have huge, huge waves in the ocean. Look at that. Some people like to surf those waves. We have birds that like to hang out near the beach, and they like to eat the things that end up on the beach, like clams from clamshells, seaweed and stuff like that. Little tiny, tiny fish. Here's the coast. The water presses up against the coast and it changes the shape. It's called erosion. It changes the shape of all of the sand and the dirt and the cliffs and stuff over time because it keeps pushing up against the water. If you ever put sand and water in a table, if you keep pushing the water up against the sand will start moving. And there's lots of creatures that live really close to the beach, like starfish and shells with the crabs in it and stuff like that. Lots of little fishies. They like to live near there. We sometimes get hurricanes near the ocean or tsunamis. Sometimes it's kind of like a water tornado called a water spout. Doesn't happen all the time, but it can. There's our tsunami. The big wave is hitting the city, and then the water will go back out, but some of this will flood. It does happen in some places sometimes. It doesn't last forever, but it lasts a while and it can do some damage. We have giant boats and ships that like to go on the water. We also have these submarines that go really, really deep in the ocean so they can explore and learn new things about the ocean floor. They have deep sea divers that like to explore shipwrecks. They like to see what is on the ship that crashed. Sometimes these ships are from hundreds of years ago, and so they want to learn what ship it was that crashed and what's in there and what the people were like that lived there at that time. They might use special tools to lift things up from the ocean floor so they can study it. Sometimes they leave it down there and they take pictures and videos so they can study it that way. We also use big nets and things like that. We have fishermen that like to fish for things for us to eat. But we have to be careful because we don't want our ocean to get dirty. Because we spill things like oil in that can contaminate our ocean, which is not good for us and it's not good for the animals that live there. It can kill or harm the animals, and then those animals sometimes are things that we eat, and sometimes that's water that we drink too. So our water is contaminated and can make us sick. So we don't want that either. And see, they're trying to fish for some fishies. These guys are diving and learning things about the ocean. All kinds of cool stuff. Look at that. Giant squid. giant whales, so many big and tiny, teeny tiny things that we can see in the ocean. It's pretty cool to explore. If you ever get a chance to go to an aquarium, or if you ever get a chance to go on a whale watching tour or a dolphin watching tour, or go see the sea turtles hatch their babies, that would be fabulous. You can even sometimes see, in some places you can see seals or penguins during certain times of the year that like to hang out on the coast. Have a great day. Have fun searching and learning about all kinds of ocean creatures.